Remember Tool Time, Tim Allen? Well, 106.3 KRZK has Cool Time with Tony from Allied Air in Branson. Every Saturday morning from 9 to 10 on News Talk 106.3 KRZK. Listen in for the latest consumer information about heating, cooling, saving money for your HVAC system, and more. Your cool specialist, Cool Time with Tony from Allied Air. Join him every Saturday morning from 9 to 10.
KRZK News Time is coming up to 9:04 on your Saturday, this 5th day of April 2014, 35 at the Office Concept Studios. And you are in the comfort zone. This is Cool Time with your host, Tony Martin. Well, Tony, Chip just decided to get a word in there with us this morning. But good morning to you, young man. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing great. I'd like to thank our sponsors today, Westinghouse Heating and Cooling Products. There's a reason we use them. They just work better. Paul Kruger Construction, a design build company, and Cantina Laredo and Black Oak Grill down at the Branson Landing.
And we had a really good discussion last week with Michael Anderson from Westinghouse in studio, and really had a great time talking about the innovative products that are being brought to market that are already out there now, and the rich history of Westinghouse going back 100 years plus, and how that's helping us with our comfort in our homes.
Definitely. And the heating and cooling products that we use from Westinghouse, like I said, the reason we use them, they work better. They have a lot less hassles from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And, of course, when we take care of them through our ESA, they're going to last for years and years.
Well, and we talked about it, too, and I guess one of the points that we really hammered home very well is that, innovative products and, the top of the line, the Cadillac of air units in your house, it can only go so far. Exactly. It really can, because it's reliant on us, the homeowners, to make sure that we, know what we're installing, we're asking questions, but also making sure that we're maintaining. And we're also getting the best to maintain, which is Allied Air.
Sure. And we've been talking about all the ways that we can help you with your comfort level and your energy bills. Mm-hmm. I'd like to tell a couple of stories. I've got 4 stories in mind of how we can make a big difference in people's lives.
Well, in these 4 stories, would it be safe to say, Tony, that we're really going to, I think we're really going to connect with the listening audience, because I think as we go through these stories, it's a safe bet that somebody out there is going to have a relatable story.
I guarantee you they will. These are 4 typical service calls, and when I say typical, we run into these problems all the time. Now, these are 4 different service calls with 4 different outcomes.
All right, well, let's get into story number 1. I'm eager. I'm ready.
All right, story number 1. This is a reactive maintenance service call. We've talked about that before.
Oh, yeah.
And we call this the investigation. The first one... the first time we were called out to the house, this has been within the last week. This was just this week, by the way. The lady told us that her heat pump had quit working, and could we come fix it? When we arrived, we started the usual interview process to find out the family has been paying over $600 a month in electricity this winter.
You have got to be kidding me. I mean, that's $300 north of what we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. This is high.
This is a really good car payment. Okay.
Oh my! That for some people, that's a mortgage payment too.
Exactly. My immediate thought was the heat pump had been out of commission the whole time. When I asked when the heat pump quit on her, she said it was this morning. It made a loud noise and stopped working.
Oh.
We found that the motor on the outside unit had failed, but this wasn't the cause of the $600 electric bill, and we knew that. So we knew after we got the motor repaired that we needed to do some digging. We found out that the defrost control board was out. And that's important because the way a heat pump works, it's the nature of a heat pump that it's going to form ice on the outside coil. Well, if we get a solid block of ice on the outside coil, we can't move air through the heat pump.
And the defrosting process comes into play. I've been familiar with this situation.
Okay.
And it's not fun.
So her problem was she had a solid block of ice on her coil all winter long. And we couldn't get the air to come through the coils, so that prematurely failed the motor.
And can I ask you that, when you start having that stuff happen, you get this big, thick block of ice inside this unit, there's some physical damage that can occur. Coils can shatter, can be bent, and it can get pretty bad.
Well, it can, and the biggest problem that we find on that is that when the ice gets thick enough to impede the fan, it can hold the fan in place and not let it do its job.
And then you get motor burnout and all that good stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
They had the sense enough to know that the ice wasn't supposed to be there, so their correction for the problem was to turn the AC on for 2 or 3 hours to melt the ice, and then they would turn the heat back on that would form the ice back.
Yeah.
This was an ongoing problem all winter, but that's not the end of it. On further investigation, we found in the attic they had the 15 kW heat strip that was supposed to come in and back up the heat pump when it got cold enough. There was a problem with one of the circuits. There's 2 circuits involved here. One of the circuits was not, the high voltage wire was not in the terminal. It was hanging loose in the cabinet. So not only is it an energy problem, it's a safety problem.
Oh, this keeps getting better and better. This is Cool Time with Tony at Allied Air. We're talking stories that are relatable to you as a homeowner. We're in the middle of story number 1. $600 energy bill, a thick block of ice, and damage. We got a lot more for you. You stick around. Cool Time with Tony at Allied Air. KRZK News Time is 9:12 on your Saturday, 35. Here at the Office Concept Studios, Josh Grisham with you this morning. It is Cool Time with Tony at Allied Air. We now rejoin our host, Tony Martin. And Tony, you're in the middle of story number 1, my friend. You got me waiting at bated breath. $600 energy bill, a hunk of ice, and a non-functioning unit. Oh, it's already good. We're just in story number 1.
That's right. And just to recap, what we found is we found a defrost control board that caused motor failure. We found the electric heat strips were not only a safety issue, but a third of the heat that it supplied was missing. She had both sources operating at the same time. What I mean about that is the heat pump was trying to do its job, and it was pulling about 20 amps of power to do so. It was overworked. The inside unit brought the heat strips on, or tried to bring the heat strips on to compensate for the lack of heat that the heat pump was providing. So she was spending over 60 amps of power all the time and being uncomfortable. What that equates to, it was costing her $1.23 per hour to operate the system in the condition it was in. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you start adding up those hours, and typically we run at $275 per month, I guarantee you this was running 24 hours a day. So we took and fixed the problems, took less than 2 hours. We run our tests again. She was comfortable. It was blowing heat in her home, and it was costing her 30 cents an hour.
I think I would much rather have that
Definitely.
than almost $2 an hour.
When we explained this to her, we explained that simple maintenance on the machine would have prevented the whole problem. They spent thousands of dollars over the winter trying to stay warm, when it would have taken just a little bit of time and a small fraction of that amount to make it work properly for them this winter.
And in a sense, you can get that money back, but again, that is a unit that is counterintuitive. And you made a comment to me off the air. This home is, less than 10 years old?
Less than 10 years old. It's a new construction home. It has the HVAC system is a good system. It's not a bad system. Mm-hmm. It was installed correctly. It just was ill-maintained, and attention to detail was not taking place at the installation, or the electric wire would have been hooked where it needed to be.
Well, and that would prompt a question from me. I mean, and you probably had this discussion because we talk about how great the in-depth analysis is, the total analysis on any unit that you guys do when you go out to a home or a commercial setting. had it been maintained since they bought the house? Had it been checked?
No.
Oh.
I think they may have had a problem before, and they called someone out and got that taken care of. I believe that was a warranty issue, if I remember correctly. But they hadn't had anybody else out to look at it. And when I explained to her the value in our ESA and told her the price, and I'm not going to say the price. I don't want anybody to think, well, that's not enough for what you do.
Yeah.
I'd like to prove it to them. We have made it absolutely affordable for any homeowner to take advantage of being enrolled in our ESA.
Okay.
When I explained that to her, they enrolled, and now she's on the schedule for us to go out and see if we can take some more cost out of operation of that system.
Okay, so here's a question that I've got for you, and this is it's going to be kind of like stat building for the listeners out there. Reactive maintenance service calls is basically what we're branding this first story, and I think that's perfect for it. Let me ask you, just to kind of get this in my mind, when you guys go out on a service calls, since Allied Air was incepted, if you had to put a percentage on this, the number of calls that you go out on, what percentage would be reactive maintenance?
90 at least.
Oh. And for people to be comfortable and happy, Tony, that percentage, that 90%'s got to change.
It's got to, and I think our mentality has to change as consumers. First of all, you need to know how to choose a heating and air contractor. Mm-hmm. That's the very first step and an important step in solving your problems.
Okay.
If you go to, and we're going to talk about this a little later if we have time, but if you go to EnergyStar.gov and look at their heating and cooling guide, it's a guide for homeowners, and there's all kind of information in there to teach you how to utilize, maintain your heating and cooling system.
And anybody out there, Tony, right now that we're talking to that has got a computer within arm's reach, just down the hallway in their house, what we're telling you is that education is out there, and it is just a point-click away.
Exactly.
And you can save yourself money.
You can save yourself a lot of money for a lot less than what you're probably thinking.
Uh-huh. And then you pair that up with a total system analysis from Allied Air. Folks, really, Tony, we've said this several times over. If you're paying too much money, why would you sit on that? Why would you continue to live with that?
Basically, because you don't know any better. When we are able to go out and do the test and bring the numbers to the table and show the people the math, the proof that we've diagnosed your system, and here's the cost to fix it, and we guarantee that 100% satisfaction guarantee that we can perform the work to do what we say we'll do.
Well, and I'll tell you right now, the listeners that are tuned in, of course, you're joining us here on Cool Time with Tony at Allied Air, and we've got 4 stories that we're going to bring to you today on the show. Obviously, the first one we talked about is reactive maintenance, and I guarantee you, I'd be willing to bet on it right now, that listeners out there have been in one of those reactive maintenance situations. Now, if you'd like to be on the air with us and share us with the story that you've had in the past or is going on right now, and you need some advice, you need some guidance, that's what this show is all about, and so much more. Get on the phone with us at 330-1063. We'll put you on the air. You don't have to give us your name, but share with us a situation you're dealing with. If reactive maintenance speaks to you right now, get on our phone, 330-1063. Or if you'd like to text us, you can do that too. We'll share your questions or your story with Tony, and he'll provide some insight on that. 699-8446. It's story number 1. It is reactive maintenance here at Cool Time with Tony at Allied Air. We've got more stories coming up for you at 106.3 KRZK. KRZK News Time is 9:24, approaching our bottom of the hour Fox News update, but you are in the comfort zone. It's Cool Time with Tony at Allied Air. Tony, I believe we might be joined by a caller. Let's get him on the line.
Let's do it.
Good morning to you. You're on Cool Time with Tony at Allied Air.
Who is this?
You're on Cool Time with Tony at Allied Air.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Well, anyway, but Tony, we were making some good points off the air. You and I were having a discussion about, reactive maintenance and how it ties to other things that we may own. And I made a comment to you about cars and going out and getting serviced. You know what? Your car situation doesn't even have to be reactive, because that's why your service techs put stickers on your car and let you know when you need to go back.
That's right, and that's the same premises that we use in heating and cooling. Mm-hmm. And we take care of that for you.
Exactly.
We give you the phone calls in the spring and in the fall. We set up the appointment to come do our work. You have absolutely no chance of missing a call if you're enrolled in our ESA.
Holy cow! So basically, I mean, you're making this easy on us. You're calling and reminding us, saying, "Hey, it's time for your regular service." So really, there's no excuse unless we just don't pick up the phone.
There really isn't. And this next customer is proof of that.
We've got about 3 minutes here, so we can certainly start this story number 2. I'm scared, but I'm also inspired at the same time.
This story is about improper installation.
Improper installation. Now, that never happens.
Well, more often than we like to think.
Yes.
This customer called us about this time last year, as a matter of fact, and he told me that he had just had a heating and cooling system installed in his home, and it wasn't working. Could you come over and tell me what the problem is?
Can we say real quick? How long had he been in his home? Do you know that? Did you have that information?
I'm not sure how long his home had been there.
Yeah,
I know that he purchased the home, and very shortly after he purchased the home, he had the heating and cooling replaced.
Okay.
He was looking for something that would be a little more efficient and be a little more comfortable for him.
Gotcha.
So we got over to his place, and he took me around the outdoor unit, the heat pump, and he said, "This thing is just not cooling." So we started to run our tests, and we found that it was a 3.5-ton unit, 42,000 BTUs was its capacity.
Uh-huh.
And it was only moving 16,000 BTUs. That's 62% loss of capacity.
That is a problem.
All the data was pointing to the indoor air handler, so we followed it. On the indoor unit, we found that the return that was built for it was much, much too small. And not only that, when we got into it, it was the stand that the unit sat on was built out of untreated pine 2x4s. And there was 10 that was nailed around this frame to act as a return. So not only was the return too small to begin with, but we had all that lumber in there eating up space. So it was even a smaller amount of air getting through the unit.
That is incredible. And, of course, we just talked a 62% loss in efficiency.
In capacity. Which is probably, I'd have to do the math, but we're talking over 100% efficiency loss.
Unbelievable. And this, I mean, obviously now, I imagine you go in as a homeowner. You buy this home. And my question would be is why wouldn't something like been caught on an inspection and then reported to him?
Well,
that's a good question.
It is a good question, but let's remember they bought the home, and then they changed the heating and cooling system.
Okay.
When I asked the fella, "Hey, why are you just now calling somebody on this problem, or how did you choose the contractor that you chose?"
I'm eager to see what
he was a bargain hunter. And he told me that. He said, "I was looking for a bargain, and I found one."
Yep.
And I said, "Well, did it really turn out to be a bargain?" And the answer is absolutely not. What we had to do for this guy, not only was the return too small, the copper was improperly installed, and it was kinked over some plumbing that was in the home. There were several things that we had to do, so we had to basically take the unit out and start all over and reinstall it. It was a brand new unit, nothing wrong with it, fine unit, and it's keeping him comfortable every day.
That is unbelievable. But again, it was wrong on the inception there in the house, and obviously bargain hunting. That right there, I mean, that message right there, Tony, is something that speaks to a lot of folks out there. Any one of us out there, myself included, has gone for a bargain, no matter what it is.
Everybody wants a bargain. I want a bargain.
Yeah.
What you have to understand is we do not live in a society that our economic system allows to pay less and get more. It's just impossible.
I could not have said it better. You are listening to Cool Time with Tony at Allied Air. We're in story number 2 and messages that speak to you, the consumer. Keep it right here, the station for straight talk and the comfort zone. 106.3 KRZK. KRZK News Time is 9:33 in the comfort zone. It's Cool Time with Tony at Allied Air, 31 at the Office Concept Studios. Josh Grisham with you. And Tony and I are weeding our way through 4 stories that should be speaking to you, the consumer, right now. And Tony, story number 2, I had a good question for you off air. Our owner that had the improper installation service call, which is dreaded, but there's many people out there that have experienced that very call. And the I made a big mistake situation. Can we talk a little bit about how that might have impacted that owner's wallet?
Sure. Not only did he spend the money to have a piece of equipment put into his home, he was operating that piece of equipment that had no chance of doing the job for a few months before he got a hold of us. So there's the energy bill. But more than that, it was when we come in and found the problems, proved the problems on paper, visited with the homeowners. They said, well, let's fix it. We just spent this much money. Let's get it fixed.
Yeah.
So we were able to fix it, and we did the best job we can for the money, and to add what we did plus the installation he paid for, it was a little more than what it would have been if we'd have done the installation in the first place.
And I got to compliment you, too, because there probably are contractors out there in this state and far and wide that would be in a situation like that, and they'd say, well, you know what, this is it. This is how we're going to fix it and just deal with it. Now, that's not really taken into respect as far as I'm concerned, maybe say an owner's financial situation or their wallet. But again, what's nice to hear is that you and your team at Allied Air are actually adapting to your client's situation. So if they say, well, you know what, I've only got this much money. What can we do that's going to best fit that situation? Rather than just saying, oh, this is what we can do, that's it. You're adapting to your client's needs.
We make a plan for the client, and we prioritize that list of services required. And we work with the client on their budget to make sure that we can get all of these done in a timely manner that's not going to take a big chunk out of their wallet.
And I think that kind of ties back into this story. I mean, obviously, this particular homeowner was reacting to their budget, and they were trying to find a deal there. And now, again, I mean, that type of situation can turn into a nightmare. But again, too, you're adding some respect to that by, okay, yes, you are on a budget, and the problem can be solved. So a nightmare can be turned around.
Exactly. And again, this customer is now enrolled in our ESA. We take care of him every year. And one thing that I'm finding, and we have a lot of ESAs, and every one of them, when we call to make the appointment, they're eager for us to come over. They're eager to visit with us. They want us to maintain their systems, but more than that, they're part of our family, and they know that they're part of our family.
And there's a lot of comfort and pride there too. Now, we were talking too. We're moving on to story number 3, and this one here, I like the title of it: Oversized Unit Service Call, and you've tagged it "Less is More."
Less is more.
That's true. That's true. Now, some people out there would be going, really? Less is more.
Well, let me explain the situation. This customer called us because they were uncomfortable in their brand new home that was built less than a year ago.
Less than a year.
The complaint was they were sweaty in their home at 72 degrees.
Oh, no.
Okay. So we go over and we do an interview process like we always do with the client. And we found several things that he had done after the home was built.
Okay. So
one of the main things,
changes.
Yeah, a lot of changes. The system was absolutely installed perfectly. And I'm convinced that it was the right size unit for the home when the home was built. Their neighbor, we had installed some units for their neighbor. They told us told them to give us a call, so they did. We went out and found out that these people had spray foamed their home with insulation, with closed cell insulation, after the home was built. They wanted to save energy. They were doing everything that they could, that they learned after the fact, to better their home.
Mm-hmm.
Inadvertently, they changed the size requirements for the house, for the HVAC system. So now here we're in a situation where this is a brand new house, brand new piece of equipment that wasn't going to do the job for them. Unfortunately, the only thing we could do is replace the equipment. We were able to do that. They wanted a higher efficiency piece of equipment anyway. We were able to do that for them, get them comfortable in their home, and guess what? They're enrolled in our ESA program, and we visit them every year.
And they're on a routine schedule now.
Exactly.
But they inadvertently changed the size of the house. They changed the size of the house just due to the spray foaming then?
The spray foam insulation, that's a lot better insulation than the batting or the cellulose that's blown.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do this, when you have a good company come out and spray foam properly, it greatly reduces the size requirements for the HVAC. This one was little over a ton. We'll call it a ton, oversized.
Okay. And what do you know, kind of, can you tell us the square footage of this house? Do you know that?
It's not a huge home. Mm-hmm. Upstairs is probably somewhere around 18, 19, and then downstairs probably another 11 or 12.
Now how common is this? When you guys are going out on service calls, how often do you run into that? You go into a house and the first thing out of the homeowner's mouth is, okay, well, our unit isn't working right. We're either too hot or we're too cold. And, we did this, and this. So we talked about the spray foam. But let's say somebody out there is trying to enhance the energy efficiency in their home, and they go in and they do all these different steps. Spray foam is one. They go in and they reseal a bunch of areas. Now, when they do that, that's kind of like, it could be a domino effect of a negative nature.
Definitely, and we want people to do that to their homes. Okay,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you're planning to do some upgrades to your home, the very first thing you need to do is get a hold of a contractor, a general contractor such as Paul Kruger. And you definitely need to have your HVAC contractor involved, because what you do is you change the parameters. And let's go over again what causes are from oversizing equipment.
Okay.
Your house gets cool really, really quickly. We don't give the unit enough time to operate to take out the latent heat, which is the moisture in the air. So if we have cool air, but it's wet, we're going to sweat. Mm-hmm. We're going to be sticky and uncomfortable. So we have to make sure that system is sized correctly so it can run long enough to do what we need it to do.
It makes absolute sense. But it's amazing. People, again, are reacting to certain situations in their homes, and obviously those are all proper steps to take if you're resealing. But again, if you're doing all of these things and you're not taking a look at what your equipment needs are, really you're being counterintuitive without even really realizing.
And another big problem that we see is people add on to their homes, which is a great thing, okay? Mm-hmm. But they add on to their homes with no thought given to the HVAC. Before you add on to your home, you need to know the costs involved not only in the building of the home, the construction of the mm-hmm. add-on, but what's going to change in that HVAC system. And there's other ways to go around it without switching out your total system. Mm-hmm. We have great products, ductless air systems for single rooms work just fantastic for that.
We're talking about varied stories here at Cool Time with Tony at Allied Air. We want to let our listeners know if you'd like to engage with us here, you can do that. The studio lines are open for you at 330-1063. Tony will take your calls. We'll discuss things. If right now any of these stories that we have shared so far are speaking to you, if you are out there and you have got, Tony, an energy bill that is pretty darn high as far as your heating and cooling cost goes, and you've been sitting on that and you don't know what the cause of it is, you need to call us and interact with us. Call us on the studio line at 330-1063 or even text us 699-8446 and let us know what you're dealing with. Because there's no reason why any listener out there, Tony, should be sitting on high heating and cooling bills.
There's not. There's really not. And if you're just curious to see what may be wrong with your system, even if you don't want to do anything about it right now, at least you'll have something to plan for.
Well, and then again, it speaks volumes. We talk about it a lot. That is to why any listener out there, your total system analysis is so important. Your ESAs, everything tied together. That's why, it's important to the homeowner. And any listener out there right now.
It really is, and it could literally save you thousands of dollars in bills and repairs.
I think savings of thousands of dollars is speaking to me. That's safe to say. This is Cool Time with Tony at Allied Air. Your KRZK News Time is 9:43. We've still got a story yet to go. You want to stick around for it and see if it speaks to your current situation in your home. This is 106.3 KRZK. KRZK News Time is 9:46 on your Saturday, 37 here at the Office Concept Studios. You're in the comfort zone. Cool Time with Tony at Allied Air. Tony Martin in studio along with Josh Grisham. And Tony, it's difficult in a situation like this where every segment you've had today is absolutely through the roof awesome. But you did save the best for last in our tale. Our stories. We have 4 of them, and this one is the best one.
This is definitely the best one.
And I like the way you build it. It's the improper everything service call. 7 years of torture.
This lady has been in this house since it was built 7 years ago and been living uncomfortable, paying huge bills, and she got sick and tired of it. Now, this is a call that has come in since the show started. In fact, we just completed the work this week.
So this is brand spanking new.
Brand new. And when we first got called to her home, and we had visited her before, okay? We've done some work for some of her other family.
Okay.
This time, and we told her before that things had to change. This time, she called us out, and she says, I'm sick and tired of paying these outrageous bills and being uncomfortable. I want it fixed. What are we going to have to do?
So this young lady, she's been pushed to the brink.
She had. And we had some kind of idea that the system was undersized. And so we were kind of looking at a half a ton bigger. It was a 3-ton system. And we did our total system analysis for her, which includes a heat load calculation and a total evaluation of the system. When we did the evaluation of the system, it was producing everything it could produce. Okay, it was working as hard as it could. The function of the thing was not that bad. Wasn't great, but it wasn't bad enough to present the problem she was having. So we inspected the ductwork, and just at the first sight of the ductwork, I started to shake my head. It was in the attic. And I'm not going to go into every little minor detail technically because you wouldn't understand it. But what I will tell you is from the beginning of the trunk, the ductwork, it had no chance whatsoever to supply the air anywhere it needed to go.
So with these smaller ducts then? I mean, was it
No,
just...
in fact, it was sized properly for the home.
Okay.
Now, it was not, the unit wasn't sized properly for the home. But the duct size was.
Yeah, there's a problem right there.
But the design, there was absolutely no thought in the design of the ductwork. And it had made an S curve right off the bat, which anybody that knows anything about airflow, when you turn 90 degrees, you lose volume, you lose CFM. It just slows the air down so much. So you have to account for all that. I'm not saying it can't be done. We do it all the time, but we account for that, and we design our duct system accordingly. This was an S curve right off the bat. Then it had a small pipe that came an S again backwards to supply 4 registers. It had no chance to do so. And downstream, if there's any air that could get there, let's just say we had to clean the entire trunk up. We had to redo the whole system.
Oh.
And she had been living with this for 7 years. We did the heat load calculation to find out that it wasn't just a half a ton undersized. It was a full ton undersized for the home.
Unbelievable. So this gal had the deck stacked against her.
She did.
That's unbelievable.
But she got to the point to where something had to be done. She couldn't afford to pay the bills, and she wanted to be comfortable in her own home.
So did she have in this house, did she have any ceiling issues? I mean, as far as her attic space, anything improperly sealed there?
No.
Any heater air loss in windows, anything like that?
The house was built absolutely fantastically. It was not the most energy efficient home built, but it is a good home.
Mm-hmm.
And what caused us to dig deeper into an investigation, I'm not going to tell you exactly what happened. My partner Dave Birch would kill me, but we found a problem that she was having with her filter. Her filter would get clogged up every couple of weeks with a soapy like substance.
Uh-huh.
Would not let air go through it.
Yeah.
This has only been happening for the last couple of months. And so we found the problem with that, and it was the kitty litter that she was using. Was getting kicked up into the air and through. So we solved that problem for her, and we found these other problems, and she wanted them fixed. She wanted them fixed right now. So we were able to negotiate something with her where we could get her a nice energy-efficient unit, a 16-SEER heat pump for her home, and she's texted me, she's called me, she's written me, and she told me that this was the best gift she could ever get for herself, and she was so excited and so pleased with the service that we provided. She's going to be on next week to tell her story.
That's going to be really, really unique, and that's going to save me from asking the question of what she was dealing with bill wise. I mean, we'll let her tell that
Right.
directly to the audience. But Tony, we've said it as we've gone through these 4 stories. I mean, really, if a $600 energy bill doesn't scare you, I don't know what to say to somebody like that.
It always puzzles me to think that we buy heating and cooling equipment to be comfortable in our space.
Mm-hmm.
For me, if I pay something for a service, I expect that service, and I pay the electric bill to be cool. I expect to be cool. If I'm not, there's something wrong, and I want it fixed.
It's common sense, folks. 4 great stories for you. You're going to be hearing from homeowners. Cool Time with Tony. We've got it all. More coming up as we approach our wrap time at News Talk 106.3 KRZK. KRZK News Time, 9:56, as we approach our wrap for this edition of Cool Time with Tony at Allied Air, 37 at the Office Concept Studios. Tony, you knocked it out of the park again this week, my friend. You brought 4 unique tales that speaks to everybody here in Ozark Mountain Country and places beyond. Can you kind of recap for our listeners the tales that we did tell?
Sure. We went over a reactive maintenance story where the thing had broken down prematurely, and had they been on the ball and gotten the system checked before the winter, none of that problem would have existed, and they would have not paid the $600 bills the winter that like they did.
Mm-hmm.
The second one was the system was oversized.
Yep.
The third one was the system was not installed properly. And then the last one was everything was wrong. And I want to tell you about the last one. That she's going to be in next week with us, and a couple of other these guys. But with this last one, we just got finished with her this week,
mm-hmm.
and we gave her a price that would entail everything being done to factory specifications where she could enjoy her home. And unfortunately, that price changed because of some of the things we had to deal with. Mm-hmm. Now, that price did not go up, it went down. And so we passed that savings right along to her.
So for her as a homeowner, that's 7 years going along without a smile on her face, and probably happiness for her over those 7 years probably didn't seem attainable. But
right.
you changed that for her in one fell swoop.
Exactly.
And that really, Tony, we can say that for any homeowner out there right now that is in that situation, and we know you're out there. It starts with a phone call to Allied Air and a total system analysis.
It does, and I've said it before on the show, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it again. There is not a problem that we cannot handle as far as HVAC.
You're speaking to them, my friend. And I think what's unique is we get into this next week's show again. These are real homeowners.
They are.
And these are people that have had a message that they're going to share with you, and it's probably a message that you have right now.
I've got one more little thing. I don't know how much time we have, John.
We got about a minute and a half.
Okay, I'm going to make it real quick.
You bet.
One other call I hadn't planned on talking about. A fella called me out since the show's been going. We went to his condo, took a look. The inside fan blower motor wasn't working. Mm-hmm. He said he had it repaired last year, but it never did work after the guy left. They thought he was going out to the van to get a part to come back in, and he never came back. We were able to get that going for a very minimal cost, and that's the story there.
No more sticker shock for him, right?
Right.
Well, Tony Martin, again, my friend, you knocked it out of the park. A great show this week, and we look forward to being back with you in studio next week.
I'm looking forward to being here. 417-699-0027.
This is Cool Time with Tony at Allied Air. Stick around. More great programming for you. Doug Rye is up next at 106.3 KRZK.